In this video we are going to take a closer look at one of the walking Space Marine coffins that received a lot of hype as of late, the Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts. First we will take a look at their datasheet and general abilities, then we will go through how to specifically make use of them in a Deathwatch army. Lastly, there will be some modeling recommendations and a quick wrap up.
Welcome to SwissHammer, your channel for modeling in Warhammer 40k. My name is Tammer and I will be guiding you through this video.
Before we dive right into the datasheet, a quick reminder that there are differences between Contemptor Dreadnoughts and Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts. Basically, you can think of the Relic Contemptor Dreadnought as the venerable version of the Contemptor Dreadnought found in the Space Marine Codex. GW is selling a regular Contemptor Dreadnought, originally from the Horus Heresy game, while the Relic Contemptor Dreadnought model is being sold by Forge World, and its current rules are also found in the 9th edition Imperial Armor Compendium and not the Space Marine Codex. Forge World also has a regular Contemptor Dreadnought model. Whatever. I am specifically mentioning this because the models and datasheets actually look very similar, but the hype is all about the Relic version, not the regular one. But without jumping too far ahead, let's have a look at the actual datasheet. Rocking a very solid Dreadnought stats line, the Relic Contemptor's ballistic skill actually got nerfed to a 3+ in 9th edition. It used to be 2+ in 8. What immediately stands out when compared to 9th edition's gold standard, the Redemptor Dreadnought, are the far fewer wounds. In this particular case, this is actually to the Dreadnought's advantage because it does not degrade and it gains its additional durability from the combination of Duty Eternal and Atomantic Shielding. That's right, this Dreadnought comes with its own invul save. Another big advantage is that even though it is a Forge World model, it retains the fantastic core keyword. Compared to the regular Contemptor Dreadnought, what stands out on the Relic version is the absurd amount of different weapon loadouts it can take. We will get to that, but first let's quickly talk about Martial Legacy, the big downside of the Relic Contemptor. Those 140 points sounded a little bit too cheap, right? That's because the additional cost comes through a 1 CP penalty from Martial Legacy. Basically, instead of paying more points for it, you are paying with precious CP. With that out of the way, moving on to the weapons. The default loadout are 2 heavy plasma cannons, but there are many more to pick from, with the total amount of possible combinations being 272 according to someone who actually did the calculations on that. We are now going through all of them one by one. No worries, I'm joking. I also didn't double check the maths on that for once. For the purposes of this video, we are going to focus on the single loadout that has risen to immense popularity as of late, the twin volkite culverin. For only 5 points extra, you get a 45 inches range, heavy 8, strength 6, 0 AP and flat damage to weapon. The 0 AP aside, that's an absolutely fantastic profile. In 9th edition, 45 inches of range is basically all you'll ever need. While the 0 AP looks a bit underwhelming at first glance, the weapon compensates through sheer volume of shots and the additional chance to cause mortal wounds. This weapon of course greatly benefits from the Devastator Doctrine, more on this later though. All in all, a Relic Contemptor Dreadnought with double twin Volkites will cost 150 points. If we are adding a Cyclone missile launcher, the price will be at 175, which is basically a Redemptor Dreadnought without any extras. On top of that, we are then paying the 1 CP Martial Legacy tax. So why have Relic Contemptors with twin Volkites become so popular? Goonhammer has done the maths on the different loadouts, and the Volkite has proven to be useful against a wide variety of targets. Thanks to the additional mortal wound output, they can even somewhat compensate for facing Death Guard with damage reduction or other durable units such as Dark Angel's Terminators. Furthermore, they are excellent at mowing down regular infantry and even Drukhari raiders, which seems to be the new gold standard for measuring performance these days. All in all, this makes the Relic Contemptor Dreadnought an affordable dreadnought coming with all the 8th edition Dreadnought goodies, as well as a weapon loadout that works against a large majority of targets, including popular meta picks. It also has fantastic threat range, a built-in invul save, and as primarily a ranged platform, it is easy to play. Another potential advantage compared to the Redemptor Dreadnought is the size of the Contemptor Dreadnought, making it more easy to hide if necessary. As shown on the picture, the size is somewhere between that of a regular Dreadnought and the absolutely massive Redemptor Dreadnought. So now that we have decided that we want to bring one along, how do we best go about it? Especially when running multiple Dreadnoughts, the Relic Contemptors greatly benefit from a variety of support, no small thanks to the core keyword. First, we have rerolls of any sort, be it from a captain or from the Wisdom of the Ancient Dreadnought stratagem. Furthermore, Rites of War can give them OBSEC. This is particularly useful in Dreadnought heavy lists, as they tend to have far fewer troops. An all-time classic is of course the Primaris Tech Marine for Awaken the Machine Spirits and generally repairing the Dreadnought. With only 9 wounds, the Relic Contemptor will be thankful for that. General Space Marine support aside, how about making best use of them in the Deathwatch? Dreadnoughts work surprisingly well in Deathwatch armies, and the Relic Contemptor is no exception to that. In fact, it partly solves an issue that might otherwise occur with the Contemptor's most popular contester, the Redemptor Dreadnought. Basically, you want to give your Dreadnoughts a 5+ invul save, as it adds greatly to their survivability. Deathwatch has a particularly great relic for this, the Dominus Aegis, and we have seen this successfully applied with Dreadnought heavy lists before. On the other hand, the HQs that can carry it are a bit limited in Deathwatch, due to the Watchmaster's inflexible loadout and the limited synergy of lieutenants. If you want to give both rerolls and the Dominus Aegis, the only option is the captain, which you then might miss elsewhere. When going for something like double Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts, they will already have their built-in invul, meaning that the Watchmaster is now ideal for babysitting them with rerolls. In fact, even his lack of mobility won't be an issue, as he can keep up with the Dreadnoughts, which pretty much outrange everything already as it is. While I have not always been speaking favorably of the Watchmaster in the past, for this particular job he is ideal. Furthermore, Deathwatch can make sure that the Relic Contemptors actually get to use Devastator Doctrine properly. Thanks to mission tactics, we can pick our Devastator turn, and thanks to the paragon of their chapter Warlord trait, we can borrow the Dark Angel's Brilliant Strategist for even more Devastator Doctrine. Last but not least, we also have the Priority Doctrine Adoption stratagem for 1 CP that lets you pick the Combat Doctrine for 1 Deathwatch unit. All in all, that's a lot of potential Devastator Doctrine right there. Oh, and Relic Contemptors are of course an elite choice, another thing that works in favor of Deathwatch, as the elite slots are usually not as contested as in other Space Marine armies, thanks to kill teams counting as troops. All these advantages for the Deathwatch aside, there's of course also a major downside, which is the previously mentioned CP cost. Deathwatch is already fairly CP heavy, adding adding yet more to it, especially when running multiple Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts, is going to be felt. In a previous video about the standings of the Deathwatch in 9th edition, I presented a tournament list by Jason Snigovsky, which scored a very respectable rank 6 at the Motor City Mayhem tournament. In his list, he ran 2 Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts with the Volkites, as previously described. The link to the video is in the description. Before we draw our conclusions on the Relic Contemptors, here are some modeling recommendations. Given the crazy amount of different loadouts, you'll absolutely want to magnetize the weapon arms and the Cyclone missile launcher on this one. Being a Forge World model, these things are pricey enough as it is. Speaking of which, while I usually refrain from covering Forge World models in my videos, I went for this particular one not only because the unit is so popular at the moment, and you might see it around a lot in the near future, but also because I think this one has a lot of potential for kitbashing. As previously mentioned, the Relic Contemptor is kind of what a Venerable Dreadnought is to the Dreadnought. If you compare the Forge World model to the standard GW one, the differences aren't that big. As we are playing Deathwatch, we have of course all sorts of ways to display additional chapter heraldry and iconography, which can easily make the regular Contemptor model pass as a Relic one. What this will leave us with is the absence of the weapons. I'm going to say that I have seen Dreadnought Volkite and Cyclone missile launcher bits from third-party vendors that I think can be adapted for this. Personally, I would pick vendor and models depending on the availability and pricing, as well as the desire to kitbash or not. I will leave it at that. To wrap things up, the Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts have been showing up at tournaments as of late, including a Deathwatch list piloted by Jason Snigovsky, which landed a very respectable rank 6 at the Motor City Mayhem tournament. Rocking the solid Dreadnought stats line and abilities, including the core keyword, the Relic Contemptor comes with fewer wounds than a Redemptor, but it does not downgrade, and it also has a built-in 5+ invul save. While quite affordable at 140 base points, we are paying an extra CP tax because of the Martial Legacy rule. The Relic Contemptor has an absurd amount of different loadouts. The currently most popular one are double twin Volkites and an optional Cyclone missile launcher on top. The Volkites are great because of their crazy range, volume of fire, and decent damage against a wide variety of targets, including the dreaded Drukhari and their raiders. While Relic Contemptors benefit from rerolls in general, they go particularly well with the Watchmaster of the Deathwatch. His lack of mobility and access to the Dominus Aegis relic become irrelevant when paired with Relic Contemptors, because they already have their built-in invul, and their currently popular loadout makes them a long-range threat anyway. Beyond that, Deathwatch is arguably the best chapter to maximize Devastator Doctrine thanks to mission tactics, access to the Dark Angel's Warlock trait, and stratagem support. Back in April, Jason Snigovsky has successfully piloted the Deathwatch list with 2 Relic Contemptors to a very respectable rank 6 at the Motor City Mayhem tournament. Last but not least, I highly recommend magnetizing the weapons on a Relic Contemptor. Being a Forge World model, getting the actual model can be a little pricey. Given that there is a regular Contemptor Dreadnought model sold by GW, kitbashing and a little creativity can go a long way as well. So that's it for the Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts in the Deathwatch. Have you guys been using these yourself, or are you favoring other Dreadnoughts instead? Let me know in the comments. Finally, I would also like to mention that there is a SwissHammer Facebook page where I will be posting links to my videos as well as articles I find of interest. I do read a lot about the hobby, but not all of it will always end up as its own video. I look forward to seeing you there as well. I do also have a Patreon page. If you like my content, any additional support is greatly appreciated as it helps me invest into future videos. As always, thank you very much for watching, guys. Your continued support is greatly appreciated. I hope you have been enjoying this video. Give me a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks again, and see you next time.